Welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode number 188. This I'm reviewing a couple different things here, not only episodes from Go-onger, but also a 5-episode miniseries that was a tie-in for the movie I discussed last episode. The episodes from Go-onger discussing are episodes 37 to 41. Now, the specials are mostly just a lot of build toward the movie, and the first three are like that, and the fourth one is mostly put set during the movie, just from Boom was what he was up to off screen, and then basically 4 is set also during the movie as well, and just afterwards. In the first one, it's revealed that Moo has been, creating simulators where she proceeds to beat the crap out of the Go-ongers for reasons. Also, she leaves Sasuke for last for reasons that are never explained. And that's pretty much it for that one. It's mostly all regular hijinks. Also, we do see a lot of stuff for the Garnark, where they're basically, in case you're curious where those monsters came from the movie, apparently they're all recycled monsters. What they did is they transformed several of their own grunts, and they put them in the bodies of these dead monsters. Just basically recycle them. Now, simply put, this is standard Toei procedure. They have these costumes lying around. Why not use them? A movie is usually the best place to use them. They used to do this a lot when they use costumes for TV shows. They do a lot in Kamen. In the case of Kuga, no monster who was killed off was ever used ever again. Stan Tomoshi becomes that one. At one point, we actually have the water pollution minister where she becomes a soul car, puts in Bumpa, she takes over him for an episode story, and then she's booted out, put back her own body, and she's so happy back her own body. And then we see her Bumpa reunite with the Go-ongers, and that's simply it when it comes to that one. Yeah, it's a pretty good 5-episode miniseries. In case you're curious, though, what is the name of this miniseries, you might ask? It is called, I'm trying to basically look this up on here. This is, the name of it is called Boom Boom Net the Bong. Yes. Yeah, that's simply put, basically, it's only 5 episodes. It's roughly about 5 episodes. And each episode ranges from about 5 to about 7 minutes apiece. I got through this in less than about half hour, these 5 episodes. But in case of the episodes themselves, now in 37, this one basically follows up from the previous episode, 36, where the prehistoric Zords were, let's say the engines, they were briefly possessed, and they attacked their allies. And they're very hesitant to work with Sosuke, and though they eventually work at the very end. We also debut of a new weapon, yes, which is referred to as, there's also the double engine Cobra and the combo engine Mensa gun. This particular weapon, if you're curious though, did this pop up in RPM? Yes, it did. Yep, it popped up on there. I'm not sure how many episodes popped up, but yeah. Next came the Go-onger versus Gekko, which I will not be discussing that here. Simply, purely, basically, the reason why I'm not going to be discussing it is because, it deals with the conclusion of Gekko, and I'd rather basically just watch it when I finish up Gekko, and I figured that would be a good idea. So, that'll be saved for another time. When I get to Gekko, I will be discussing that one. Yep. But 38, it's simply put girl power. And by the way, the monster of the episode, is basically a female monster. I believe this was actually one of the very few female monsters they actually had for the whole series. And it has this thing where shoot water out of her chest or head. Yeah, it also had where Bear V basically took possession of the, well, had a sort of a standard human-sized one. This was the second time they did this series so far. First it was Speeder, now it's basically Bear V's turn. Though because they couldn't form the G9, G12, or the regular Megazord for the original three. But it was a really fun episode for basically all girls episode. Yeah, 3940 is simply a two-parter that follows up with a movie, which basically has these two kids. The whole story was this one was like, oh, festival monster, lots of festivals because kids love festivals. So these two kids who are really from Samurai World, and they're carrying a sword for reasons. It turns out this actually was Speeder's, well, his samurai equivalent, and it was his sword. And of course, in part 2 of the story, they run into the human version of this guy. Well, at the end of part 1, we see the return of the Shogun, the engine Shogun Dai, which is the first time that the shell of this thing has been seen since the movie. And it basically possessed, goes on a rampage. Though eventually, thanks to him, the reason why he's doing this because he apparently wants to destroy the world because he lost his job. That's the reason why he's doing this. We also see the return of two monsters from the movie, which I thought that was interesting. Yep, and it was interesting to see these three there. the three people who possess the three souls for these engines are long dead. So eventually, of course, after this eventually stopped, and of course the Zord breaks up, and of course at one point we actually have Speeder, Bear V, and Busso where they put their souls inside these engines, and they work surprisingly. When their counterparts for these three engines put them in their respective, it didn't exactly work. Here it worked perfectly fine, and they used this one-time samurai thing, and they beat the monster. Really good two-parter. 41. Yeah. 41 is simply just a childcare one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite hilarious. Okay, so I'm actually going to go to 43. 42 because I did watch 42. I didn't finish watching 43. Yeah. Thing with 41, just a good episode for Go on Gold, where he gets a bonding with a creature he has to send back home. And that's that. 42. Yeah. This is the first appearance of Kanarski. Now, if you're not familiar with this guy, you're probably familiar with his counterpart in RPM. Now, this guy is a cleaning Mr. Karski. Yeah, where he uses a dustpan as a shield. If you're curious, what's his name in Power Rangers? It's General Colobite. Yes, a character who appeared for 11 episodes of RPM. No, seriously, he appeared for 11 episodes, and that's it. Yeah, and by the way, Kilowite does not explain a reason why he carries on a freaking dustpan. And it's also this guy is responsible for destroying the Byron worlds of sound, magic, and not samurai. Samurai was not destroyed. It was sound, magic, and there was one other one he basically said was destroyed. Oh, Prison World. Yeah, he basically destroyed their worlds. Why in the world basically did this? He's an assassin who also likes cleaning as well. So you can think of it as an assassin butler. That's simply what he is. And they actually do get a chance to, well, he makes his debut toward the end of episode 42. And of course, it leads into a two-parter with him, which of course, I did watch the first 8 minutes of 43, but I think it's finished. I'm not going to discuss it here. All 42 is simply a magical episode, which you could say is like a nod. They say, oh, this thing's fell from Magic World. Of course, Magic World was over destroyed. Along with Sound World. Yeah, Sound World, which is where the creature for episode 31 showed up, and that world was destroyed. Why in the world he decided to destroy his worlds? Do not know. I do like the fact he's wearing a suit. Yes, I thought that was a really nice touch for him. It's almost like he's a converted assassin who destroy these worlds. Now, why in the world he's doing this? Who the heck frickin' knows? It could be because he's evil because he likes it. Maybe I'll do something in the future. Okay? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Particular review. Stay tuned later for basically a couple comic corners, and that probably it for this evening. Okay? Next video. Bye.